Hello guys, welcome back to another podcast show with Benjamin, and we have Ugur today and Maria and Varya, and today we're going to be talking about a really interesting subject, which is CVs and resumes. We're also going to be talking about interviews as well. So guys, I guess you've all had a job before in your life because we're all teachers here.
Because you're old.
So yeah, let's start with CVs. So in England, we call them CVs. In America, you call them, what do you call them, Varya?
Well, I always called them resumes when I was looking for a job out of the academic world, like teaching ballet. It's not considered academic. But a CV was what I learned when I was in college. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you do use the word in America.
Yes, definitely.
Maybe there is a difference. I guess there is a slight difference between a resume and CV. While CV should be more detailed and longer, and resume is just maybe a page.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the difference. I think a CV is academic from a university, meaning that you're going to show your degrees. And then a resume is more like just like a manual job or restaurant job. You're not going to really show your CV or your academic standing in a restaurant. I think that's the difference.
And also CV stands for the Latin curriculum vitae,
Exactly,
which means that you write about your life there.
Yeah.
Maybe there is no difference. It's possible.
Yeah, now they are interchangeable.
So what does your CV look like? Is it a long CV? What do you include on your CV? Or your resume?
Education highlights, your past experiences, your work experiences, your hobbies, extracurricular activities, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I usually include only my education and work experience. I don't usually include like, what I do in my free time because it's, well, if they ask in the interview, it is another thing, but on the resume, I don't put it. Maybe some skills like soft skills, which I possess, and hard skills if it is related to the job.
How long should a CV or a resume be?
I have
ideally?
a rule.
Yeah.
It's one page and not longer.
Mm-hmm. That's what I would say as well. Because imagine if you were an employer and you have to sift through many different resumes, it would be quite annoying to have to read stuff. Would you include things like punctual, friendly, team player, or do you think that that's just unnecessary?
I guess it's not necessary to just put everything that who you are in a way, right? Friendly personality. I'll be on
how
time.
are you going to check that the personality is really
I
friendly?
I would avoid, personally, I'm not an HR manager. I do not have experience in this field, but I would say no.
Definitely not. I think it's very unprofessional.
Yeah, because if you're not punctual, I mean, just don't. Yeah. So,
and if being punctual or friendly is your main strength, wow, that's strange.
Well, unless you're a hostess for a restaurant,
Yeah.
then you need to be friendly. I'm friendly. I would make a very good hostess. I'm punctual. Maybe so. It'd be your highlight.
Or if you're a babysitter, you need to be punctual.
Punctual.
do you think babysitters need to have like an official CV?
What are you going to write on that?
Yeah.
Just took care like 5 babies before. Maybe you can just put some reference on that.
Yeah, maybe they work for an agency or
an
something.
agency, yeah.
References would be
Reference.
important. Except for when I've told my story before. When I was 13, we had like a gang of girls who went around the neighborhood changing different houses to babysit. So, you know, they knew us.
How did they apply for the jobs, or how did they
We were
put
just a
themselves out
gang,
there?
and everyone knew us.
They just knocked on the door and said, do you need
have
my
any
services?
babies? To look after. Right?
So yeah, you just say, "Give me your baby," and I will sit on it. Yeah. Well, I guess nowadays we have apps for babysitters, and I don't believe
And dog sitters and cat sitters,
dog
Plant
sitters.
sitters.
Yes. Yeah.
plant carers.
Well, I guess if you're a dog sitter, what would your CV look like? You pictures of dogs and
How many dogs you can
The
handle.
leash.
Then you should be friendly. Yeah, this is important then.
yeah. Well, it
And
depends on the
punctual,
dog.
because those dogs have needs, so you need to be punctual.
All right.
Well, you don't want to be too friendly with some dogs because then they will just walk all over you. Have you ever seen the TV show Caesar Milan?
Yeah, it's a National Geographic, I guess.
Yeah. And so if you're too friendly with the dog, then it's gonna bite you.
Bite you and harm you, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I own cats.
Do you ever have students come to you with their CVs? Because I have a few students come to me with their CVs.
I had one, and he asked me, all right, how should we write in it correctly and what we should include into the CV? So
what are the most common mistakes that you have come? Well, you've only had one CV.
Yeah, I just helped one student, and it was so detailed, and I advised him to just, all right, reduce it a little bit so it would be more professional. So
yeah, like we said before, one page is ideal.
Yeah.
Unless you work in a very, very specialist industry. But most industries, I would just say, have one page. But when it comes to English Maria, have you seen any CVs in your experience as a teacher?
Of my students or
of your
any,
students in general?
Yeah, sometimes they addressed to me with this request.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess that for Russian students, the most common mistake would be that this literal translation of some terms, for example, your degree or something like bakalavr, magister. Well, words like this that students maybe don't know how to translate.
Yeah. And also the names of Russian universities can be quite hard to translate as well.
Transliteration thing, yeah.
Yeah. From my experience, I've seen about 4 CVs so far, maybe 5. And the biggest mistakes are articles. So A and the and 0 article.
What if we just avoid articles in our resume because it should be short and precise?
Yeah. But sometimes when you include names of organizations in your CV, inevitably you have to use A and the.
Yeah.
And this is A and the seem to be pretty straightforward, but if your native language does not have articles, then it's an absolute nightmare. Wait, does Turkish have articles?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay, so
we just define a quantity of it. So a book, we call it one book in a way.
Oh, all right.
It's
So A is defined. Yeah.
So it's kind of similar. So though.
Well, sometimes in English, it does mean one in a way,
but we use it in that way in Turkish.
Do you have this countable, uncountable thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's the biggest mistake. Yeah,
well,
go on.
On a resume or CV, this is just supposed to be lists of things. Otherwise, you're putting in a biography, and that's with full sentences and paragraphs. So there's a difference with that as well. But I just list my things, so there are no articles.
Yeah. Another question, actually. Should you write resumes in the first person? I.e., should you use the word I?
Well, that would be a bio.
Well, what about let's say, in terms of your experience, when you're outlining your duties, your roles?
Third person.
I just don't use pronouns. Just verbs. Did this, I've done that.
So let's say you worked at, I don't know, let's just take McDonald's, for instance. What were your duties and responsibilities? So you wouldn't...
Took care of customers or,
Responsible for...
Was responsible for cleaning tables.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Yeah. Cool.
But in the introduction part, you can just present yourself like I by using the pronoun like in first person, like I.
Or it would be a cover letter. Where you can use lots of pronouns.
Yeah.
Okay, so with a bio, if you are applying for a ballet teaching job, you're going to be telling your experiences. And so we start with the full name. And then the next time you refer to yourself, it will be Miss last name. And then the third time you refer to yourself as she.
Yeah. You mentioned cover letters. What should go in a cover letter?
I guess it will be related to the exact company you're applying for, and so you need to say why you're applying for this position in this company, what's your current experience, and why this company might like you and might want you.
Yeah.
And what if it's like a basic role and basically your only motivation is I just want the money?
Well, still you need to do some research and find out why this company is better than others. Because, if you want money, it's not the motivation for your employer. And of course, everybody needs money. So it's just, it's the
It's
same
not
as...
the primary motivation.
Yeah, it's the same as like, I'm friendly and I need money. It's...
Here you are.
yeah.
So let's take I don't know, like a car wash. So cover letter for the car wash.
You give...
Okay, I can do
difficult
it.
examples.
I like water and car windows. I can do my job on my
I was
car.
driving by and I used your car wash. It was the best one. I would love to work here.
So it's your examples are kind of man.
I was enticed by the sparkles on the cars.
Yeah, so I like the color of cars.
And you should have a
metallic
portfolio,
ones,
by
right?
the way. Portfolio of all cars
Cars,
that you have
exactly.
washed.
Yeah, I'm excellent with the vacuum cleaner, and
I have used this and this
Yeah.
brand of vacuum cleaners.
I like the sound. I can sleep without listening to vacuum cleaner. You know, so yeah, it's a
They
level of your.
Yeah.
They will hire you. Yeah.
sure. Yeah, and you need to write like how many words for that? Like 250 words.
Okay, so we're talking about resumes and CVs, but in the olden days,
Yeah.
if I wanted a job at a car wash or a ballet studio, I would just walk in and say, "Hi, do you need a ballet teacher?" "Yes, we do." "Okay, well, let's talk." And that's how I got my
So
jobs
much
in the olden.
nicer.
Oh, so
that's-
much.
I wish
that's
it were
cool.
like that.
Yeah.
Or you walk
That's-
into a restaurant or a bar. I want to be a waitress. I want to be a bartender.
And they're asking for your qualifications and how you.
Well, they'll sit down with you right there. I never had a resume until
That's cool.
later. Until you really had to do a mass mail out and you fold it into an envelope and you send it out to a post office.
It's much harder, I would say, these days. Yeah.
Especially with the remote jobs.
Yeah, yeah.
Because an employer can consider like 200 applications and, well, they all need to be with resumes.
Let's say you wanted to work at a supermarket for a brief amount of time. In the old days, you could probably just walk into the supermarket and say, "Hey, can I speak to the manager, please?"
That's what I did with my daughter. She didn't have a resume, but I drove her around to all the supermarkets or wherever she wanted to work.
Yeah.
I said, "Go in, ask for the manager." And she would.
Nowadays, you can't do that.
No.
Nowadays, you have to go to a corporate website and
An HR manager's
wait for
email
weeks.
address. Yeah.
It's a nightmare, really. And it should be like that. It should just be like, "Hey, you got a criminal record? Okay, what did you do? Come on in."
Yeah. It
But
should
now
be simple and easy.
You can end up, unfortunately, having to send out at least 100 CVs before you get a decent reply.
Exactly.
But maybe it's the same for smaller businesses. Maybe it's the same as the old days where you can just walk in and say hello. But yeah. So which businesses do you think you could just walk into and say hello?
Restaurant?
Gas stations.
No, I think I've tried that. I think I went into a restaurant one time and I was so desperate for a job. And I went in, it was like in 2014.
So quite recently, yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty recent. And no, all their applications were online. They really don't want you to
It's
bother
so
them.
silly, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, maybe in a little tiny town, maybe you could still do that.
Yeah, I remember when I was applying for my Russian visa to come teach here at the Big Apple School, I was sitting around for, just under 3 months. And I thought it'd be really nice to just get like a little quick part-time job. It's so difficult to just find one like that. You can't just say, "Hey, I'm available for a few weeks. Do you need any help?"
Like a part-time kind of thing, yeah.
Can't just do that anymore.
Well, what
easy,
about ads? In the olden days, you had a newspaper and you looked at the ads and you circled them and then you called them up on the phone. Yeah, a long time ago. I've done that.
So, yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about interviews itself. So besides working here at the Big Apple School, what were your previous interviews like?
What were they like?
Yeah, what were they like for you? Were they a nerve-wracking experience? Were they...
I guess it's not very much different from a school exam or university exam. The same level of stress.
You need to be
I guess.
prepared. You need to know something about what you applied for and the company that you're going to work. So it's kind of, yeah.
My last interview, I guess, was in Vegas when I worked at the hotels, and like we were just saying, you have to apply to this huge internet web of HR
Database in a way.
hoops,
huh?
yeah, database, and I applied for something like 70 jobs with the company, which is outrageous. And only heard back from like one or two of them. The other one I did not want to do. I did not want to be a lifeguard. I mean, it sounds fun, but it doesn't really pay much money.
And you have to save people.
Yeah. You have to save people. And yeah.
And what was the interview like?
So the interview itself was not really an interview. It was just HR manager saying, hey, do you have a criminal record? Do you do drugs?
Yeah, I shoot up heroin.
Yes to both questions.
Yeah.
What else?
Come do a drug test. And so you have, in American companies, they're actually very
strict.
They're very strict with drugs. To an extent, I kind of understand it. You don't want a crackhead working at a hotel front
For every
desk.
position, you will need to be tested.
In America, I think it's something really high. I can't remember how high a percentage it is, but most employers give drug tests in America.
I think corporations, I think. I've never worked for a corporation.
Yeah.
so
Maybe small restaurants don't, or maybe...
What about a teacher's position?
Oh, definitely, yeah. You would definitely be drug tested for that.
Wow.
For a teaching position?
Yeah, you would
mean
be.
like in the public schools?
Yeah, for sure. In America, for sure you would be. Yeah. Because I looked at so many jobs when I was in America, and yeah, all of them say, drug test prior to employment. I mean, who cares unless you're a meth head? I mean,
Yeah, I wouldn't care.
but yeah, so you have to go and give a urine sample and then wait for a few days nervously. It's not.
Maybe they'll find out that if you're pregnant or something.
Well, if you eat a poppy seed bagel. So do you know poppy seeds? Yeah. So if you eat poppy seed bagel, you could turn out positive for heroin.
Yeah, I know that from a Jerry Seinfeld episode.
Oh yeah, Seinfeld. Yeah, I can't remember it, but I know that.
Yeah, Elaine was trying to get a job and she kept on eating those poppy seeds.
Is it really a thing, or is it just a myth? I mean, how many bagels should you eat to test positive?
Well, poppy seeds are the main ingredient in heroin. So
Really, but
opium,
and opium. Yeah, so you're gonna test positive for opiates.
Okay.
Be careful
I'm not
those-
a chemist.
But there's a whole industry. It's really funny. There's a whole industry in America based around helping people get jobs and passing drug tests. It's really funny because if you go to a lot of just corner shops in America, or at least in Las Vegas, you could see fake urine packs to help people.
You're paying someone and they give you the healthy and
so you can pass a drug test
get
for
clear urine. Yeah,
exactly.
It's an industry.
And it's so funny. Like I saw a YouTube video about it, and you have to. It's such a tricky thing to do. So you need to. Before your drug test for the job interview, you need to go to a gas station, find a microwave, and heat up the fake urine.
Just
and to a right temperature. And on the urine pack, it has like a special dial which says how hot it is. And of course, it has to be body temperature because these drug test providers, they make sure that it's a body temperature when they receive the sample. And then and then if it's not a job related to the Department of Transport, so if you're not doing a job that's related to driving trucks or stuff like that, then no one's going to watch you go to the bathroom. But if it's a DOT, Department of Transport job, people watch you go to the bathroom.
Wow.
And this is...
So they're more interested in this than in your hard skills, soft skills, whatsoever, yeah?
Well, a lot of corporate jobs in America, yes. But to be fair, like if you're a truck driver, if you're a truck company, you don't want some drug addict.
No,
driving a
they
truck on
don't
the
mind
road.
you at all because they will overwork you and they want you to drive all through the night, 48, 72 hours.
I mean, well, it depends on the drug. If you're talking about...
Whatever over-the-counter drugs or I don't know, but truck drivers are drug addicts, yeah. Because they have to keep their eyes open.
They have hair tests and they have urine tests. They're really strict in America about, maybe in the old days, I don't know, but nowadays they're really strict about that.
I mean, of course, it has to be strict. Nobody wants a drug addict, but I just didn't think that it is a big problem because here in Russia, well, it's not.
If
really.
If the company wants their things delivered on time or early, they'll want someone who can drive through the night, through the day, through the whole week, whatever. And they don't care how you do it, just do it.
Maybe, I mean...
But I don't think they allow the exotics. They can allow just for the hash or whatever, like the simple drugs, maybe.
Oh yeah, no, it's everything. They don't allow anything. Yeah. And
Okay.
if you want to be a truck driver, they're very strict nowadays.
Nothing at
alcohol.
all.
I mean, you can drink alcohol, but you have. It's like they're very, very strict about it.
Okay, maybe to get the job, just for the laws for that, maybe. But
the Department of Transport, I was reading, they do stop checks of random people.
But these big 18-wheelers, are you talking about that kind of truck driver?
No, all truck drivers. All truck drivers. Yeah, because I was looking at. I would just casually thought, it'd be quite fun to be a truck driver. It'd be quite fun. And the first thing you see when you apply for a job on these trucking websites is, the drug test requirements. And they're very strict about it. But anyway, enough about...
How is it fun?
Well, driving a truck across America. I would love to do that. It would be so cool.
Yeah.
Truck?
Yeah.
Driving
with
a truck.
a load?
Absolutely. I mean,
maybe in Canada on
the views are amazing.
I mean, it could be fun to drive your own car, but how is it fun to be a truck driver?
I mean, maybe after a year of it would be pretty boring, but with at least the first year, if you drive on the West Coast, that would be amazing.
And you're getting paid
you
well.
See,
But I mean, it's work. You're responsible for the load that you are carrying and everything.
Yeah, but you can listen to podcasts like the Big Apple School podcast, and and you can, see beautiful scenery.
Yeah, I mean, but you could
people.
rent a car and go on holiday, and it would.
But that's expensive.
Okay. And now
you get paid for it, and you get really good money for it as well.
Yeah, they're earning a lot.
In America, truck drivers now, they get paid up to $70,000, $80,000.
Okay, that's the primary motivation. Okay.
But of course, you have to stay awake for long hours, and quite often you have to sleep in the truck itself and
cook there.
And you have to stop at these gas station showers and
nomad life,
Yeah, exactly. But it'd be quite interesting becoming that a truck driver, but they have very stringent requirements.
It's interesting how from job interviews we deviated to this.
But anyway, coming back to job interviews, so you tried to look for jobs at a restaurant. What other places have we tried to look for jobs at?
Well, I had an interview when I was a student, I guess, for a job in a bookshop. And then only, I guess, teaching positions after this. Yeah, several times.
Yeah.
The translator position.
Oh, did you look for one?
Yeah, that was my first job after the graduation. So I worked as a translator for a year and a half, and Turkish to English, English to Turkish.
Oh, cool. And what was the interview like for that? Did they give you like a practice?
Yeah, I remember they gave me a text. All right, so you need to just translate this text to Turkish within 10 minutes. It was like a full page of text. So, 1, 2, 3, go. And after that, I just wrote down the Turkish.
Cool. And was this like a translation house, like a organization which specializes, or is it?
No, I applied one of those kind of corporations.
They're quite tricky to get jobs with.
Yeah, that was kind of a hard thing to get there, but I was working with a company, like a corporate company, their internal and external affairs department, which I was dealing with the translations and everything, all the legal writings and all the correspondence. So I was dealing with that one.
Yeah. Oh, I had a question because you were in the Marines, weren't you, before? Oh, tell me about that job interview process.
That was a huge process. Yeah. Being a ballet dancer, I had to learn how to run, and so instead of on stage, you run leading with your toes, but in running, you lead with your heels. You're going like that. So I kind of ran on the balls of my feet. But I had to learn how to run, and I had to get a lot of age exemptions.
So what did you do? Did you just go to a recruitment office?
Yeah, and they're so glad because they get credit if they recruit you. So of course they're on your side. You have to take like a not an SAT test, but some kind of exam of how.
IQ
and the scores are really low for the Marine Corps, really low. Like passing is like 36 or something.
So you could just be a potato or a piece of meat.
With the ability to run.
Physical fitness. And you have to have recommendation letters from a priest or something.
Oh, so like an approved
Yeah.
professional has to write a recommendation
Yeah.
letter.
So I just knocked on a Catholic church. I said, "Hi, hello, Father. I need a recommendation because I'm applying for the Marine Corps. You don't know me, but would you write one?" And he kind of like, and then he sat down and wrote it.
So did you go through all that?
I did. I went through
intense trainings and like in
yes.
Hell Week and everything. Like you don't eat, you don't sleep. And
Oh no, not
that
like
much.
that.
Right,
No,
okay.
but of course we had
Training.
12 weeks of training.
Training.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
But to get in is what we're. Yeah, that
Kinda
was a big
tricky.
process, like 3 months to get in.
Yeah. So wait. I'm more interested in the whole process. At what point can they kick people off the course? The interview?
Once you get in and you're in boot camp.
Yeah.
Oh, if you do not pass some exams, like the obstacle course or the slide for life or repelling, if you don't pass those, then you're out.
Did a lot of people get kicked out?
Maybe a few, but I was so afraid to get kicked out. I made sure that I repelled and I jumped off and I did everything that was required of me.
So interesting.
Yeah, very scary, but you have to do if you don't want to be kicked out.
Yeah. Personally, I would quite like to be in the military. After school, I was looking at joining the army, but unfortunately I had a medical problem, so I couldn't do it. But the interview process is they're very stringent. Like they don't accept any crap on your background. You have to have like a
Right, like
squeaky clean-
drugs definitely. Those, you'd have a
Yeah.
drug
Drugs,
test.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's definitely not everyone's cup of tea joining the armed forces.
Not
But
for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and also some companies, I mean, not the army, I don't know anything about this, but some companies have interviews on several levels, several stages. For example, first you talk to an HR manager, then you talk to the maybe head of the department, then to the general
And then the
manager of
CEO,
the
yeah,
company,
yeah.
and
It happened to me.
and
in
then
my
you
last
get
job,
your
yeah.
position
Yeah.
of a car washer.
well, your last. So you said your last job was this. You're not talking about the translation.
No. And after the translation, I worked as like an export sales representative. Then I worked like internal production facility management team. I was in the team. Then my last job was on field operations manager. So I was working in a hospital chain of Turkey, one of the biggest one.
And was it like a scary interview for these places?
Actually, it, like Varya said, it was like a 3 steps kind of interview process. So first I had to talk with an HR person she wasn't a manager apparently. Then I had the interview with the HR manager, then the CEO. So that was kind of a nerve-wracking. But the last step was kind of out of the box thing kind of. So it happened so kind of suddenly, and they asked me to come over. All right, we're going to have a kind of nice dinner. I didn't know that I was going to be interviewed
over dinner.
It was kind of an acceptance kind of speech plus the last interview. So it was kind of a nice dinner, and they asked me a couple of questions, like casual questions, and they said, all right, congratulations.
Did they ask you personal questions, like
personal plus like hard skills as well? So
Yeah.
All right, they gave you like a scenario, and how would you just act in terms of?
That's so funny. Like,
Yes.
what do you think of those questions?
I don't like those
I think they're so annoying.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Sorry, which questions again?
So let's say, like those role play questions in interviews. What do you
If
think?
you have a chance to do this, what would you do, or how
Yeah.
would you react in a way, kind of? So that,
And you have to think of what they want to hear.
exactly. So you need to give them what they want in a way. So you let me think in a way, kind of. Yeah, this kind of.
I guess it depends on the position, because as a teacher, I find questions like this are okay.
It's teaching jobs. You can say it's all right.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, if you do a trial lesson, for instance, on
Yeah.
Zoom, that's different. That's not like that's a trial lesson. That's different to, for instance, what would you do? Let's say you work
But
at a
still,
hotel.
they can ask you, like, what would you do if, let's say, I don't know, if an angry parent intrudes your lesson with a teenager or whatever. And, well, you should be able
or
to
how
imagine.
would you react a kindergarten student who is disobedient and doesn't listen what you're doing
or
in
who
the
burst
lesson?
into tears in the middle of the class.
So that's all right. So teaching is all right. That questions work, but In a corporate life,
It also depends, like what questions are these. For example, imagine that you are a butterfly. Maybe I don't want to.
all right. The question was like, all right, think about yourself in 5 years' time. You're going to just run this company or run this chain of hospitals. What would be the first thing that you change? Oh, come on, man. All right. I don't know.
I haven't even started. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. So you can't say it, So that's kind of
Silly.
I guess maybe they wanted to know if they're going to be fired by you.
maybe. Why not? Yeah.
I remember I applied for this big corporation right out of university, and they had one of these. It was not just 3 steps; it was like a 5-step kind of interview process. And the first meet, everyone came to the interview. It was like a conference center, and everyone came with their suits, and they gave us these ridiculous team building exercises. They said like
in front of the board and just explaining.
Pretend you're going to the moon. And and you have like a special spaceship. Like, what are you going to bring with you on the spaceship? And I just felt like
a sandwich.
Sorry, what position was it?
It was. God, I can't even remember what it was. It was, I think, something like business development manager, something like that. Something boring and. But,
corporate job, like most of the corporate jobs.
Yeah. Well, maybe it was something to do with like languages and, but it wasn't anything like really interesting.
So some kind of managerial position, yeah?
Well, maybe not managerial, but some sales.
Maybe junior position. Like
So
junior
you were
sales.
not going to send people to the moon.
Well, no, they had a question. You know the hot air balloon debate? Do you know what that is?
Like if you need to
Kick someone out of the hot air balloon. Do you know what
they
I
have
mean?
sandboxes for this, don't they? So they can release
Or
the
it's
sand.
a raft. All right, you have a
raft. It could be a raft as
fox
well.
And you have a person.
So they said choose celebrities and then get in the hot air balloon. Well, not actually. You know what I mean. And you have to debate each other.
and discuss a problem that you need to solve in a way.
And everyone chose these silly. To be honest, I was quite proud of my choice. I chose, what was it, Ray Mears, the survivalist expert. And who's going to debate with the survivalist expert? Of course, you. Like,
Sounds fun.
So everyone said, "Oh, Kanye West or whatever." Like, who needs Kanye West in a hot air balloon? When you need Ray Mears, when you need to know how to survive in the wild. So yeah, if you ever have a hot air balloon debate in your interview, choose a survivalist expert, and you're gonna come out well. All right, so interviews. What should we wear to our interviews?
Smart casual.
Smart casual. How would you define smart casual?
Short jacket without a tie, and I don't know. But in the second or third step, you have to wear at some point. So, all right, it's going to be an introduction to the board members, so you can just wear the tie.
Oh, you're definitely in like a corporate environment for sure. You need to wear.
It depends on the position.
Yeah, it depends
I would
on.
say. I mean, it could be just ridiculous if you wear a tie and maybe black and white for the position
Suits,
of
car washer,
waiter, car washer.
Yeah.
Well.
Not dissing
Postman.
Not that I have any problem with car washers.
Yeah, I mean,
people do have to clean cars.
Just,
but
the position she's talking about.
Just the position doesn't involve any sort of this uniform dress code. It's another dress code. So
if you dressed up for a car washing position, it would look like you're overqualified for this job, and they probably wouldn't hire you.
Think about you're trying to just wash the car with your suit on or tuxedo.
Yeah.
It's your bow tie.
Yeah. Evening dress, high heels.
It's interesting that you mentioned
the hair.
It's interesting that you mentioned overqualified, because some people who do get degrees in something could be overqualified and can find it hard to get a job in the first place.
Yeah, it can be a problem.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the degree you do and how much in need it is. So
yeah, speaking of clothes, I would say that as long as it is neat and not smelly, it's fine.
Yeah.
Groomed. Yeah. Okay.
Well, unless you need to clean a sewer, then
Yeah, that would be different.
then yes, bring the smells. Yep. How should you sit in a job interview? I'm looking at you, Varya, because you have very good posture.
Oh.
How should you sit in a job
Well,
interview?
if I were auditioning for a secretarial job that I would have to hunch over a laptop, I would have to curve my back
Just to
and make
show
my
your
fingers this
dedication.
way. Yes, just to show that I've been doing this for years.
Yeah. So anyway, what kind of difficult questions could you come across? We already talked about some of them, the
Yeah.
role play questions. Tell me about yourself. How should you answer that question?
Briefly, like in a couple of sentences, 2-3 sentences, I guess it's enough. Nobody wants to hear a life story and broken heart and everything.
Yeah. What other questions could we come across?
Tell me about your previous work experience and why you quit your previous job, which can be a tricky one. Because you are not supposed to tell anything bad about your previous employer because they can understand that you are not the right candidate for them.
And why is it bad? I mean, I know it's bad, but why would you say it's bad to badmouth your previous employer?
It means that you are not a responsible person and you have bad mouth and, well, you are maybe not a nice person to be around.
And what if, I don't know, let's say if a colleague murdered someone
And
or
that's
something
why
really
you
bad
quit?
happened. Yeah. Let's say if something really bad happened. And you're like, oh, I loved I loved my previous team, but
There was a psycho in my team, so I was kind of
It depends. If the information is not classified, then
non-disclosure agreement. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have that one. Yeah, you can't say that thing if you're working in a big company. Yeah. But yeah, I got you. So that's
because they
Interpersonal
already
relations.
may have known about that and they will be expecting you to tell them
To tell
about
them,
it because
reveal
they
it.
already had done the research.
research. Yeah.
yeah.
About the murderer?
Yeah, I mean, for
Anything,
example,
yeah.
Maybe-
That actually happened.
Oh yeah, at your job?
It actually happened to my daughter.
No way.
Oh, my.
Yes, she was working at an insurance, a very small insurance office, and the owner was high on cocaine, and he mistreated her. And she would say things like, you can't treat me like this, but she kept on working really hard. And then finally, she decided to quit. And after she quit, the cocaine addict was murdered by his girlfriend.
No way.
Yes. And it was like an episode on crime, these crime shows. Yeah, it happened in Atlanta, Georgia.
Insane. So what could your daughter have said to the next employer?
Probably nothing. I think that's something you don't want to say
Hide it.
anything about.
the company went bankrupt.
Yes. It
Yeah.
downsized.
So yeah, never badmouth your employer. Well, maybe if your next employer knows previous
Yeah, and
employer.
they want to hear bad things.
They mostly do the research, as you said. So they already known about it. What happened to you and why did you just leave?
Yeah. And another question. When getting a job interview, let's say if you're a job hopper, if everyone knows what I mean by a job hopper, someone who changes jobs
So
frequently.
yeah.
Exactly.
It's like a bar hopper.
Yeah.
yeah, well,
Or grasshopper.
a grasshopper. How should you explain that? Let's say if you've changed jobs every 6 months to a year and you have 5 changes on your CV, how could you explain that to
It
your
also
employer?
depends which jobs. For example, if you jump from a car washer to McDonald's waiter to postman to truck driver,
It depends in a way.
it's
yeah.
maybe strange. Like I'm in the middle of
Existential
understanding myself.
crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it is like a teaching position in one school, then in another school,
Yeah,
well,
that looks
it also
bad.
can be. It can depend. Maybe you moved from one city to another
The city or one country to
Maybe-
another country.
Yeah.
Well, I know some industries it's normal to change a lot, like IT professionals. I've heard that they change every year or so.
They could.
Or you can simply explain that, all right, my personal ambitions don't meet with your company's profile, so that I decide to quit. Maybe you can say if they need an answer
Yeah.
So yeah, you can.
I have been looking for the company like yours.
This is more political in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, politically correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Another thing. Do you think it's important for candidates to ask questions in interviews? So you know how at the end of some interviews they say, "Have you got any questions for me?"
I think it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it is important because you show that you are interested, that you are
show
curious,
enthusiasm,
and that you know at least something. And well, maybe it's not like your first question should be, "What is my salary going to be?"
Yeah, talking
But-
about money is dirty. You're supposed to wait until later.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's okay to ask about money, but maybe not
What
later.
if
Not
they
the first place. Yeah.
What if they've answered your questions in the interview and then it comes to the point where it says, "Oh, question time."
No, I'd be honest and say, "Oh, I think you've answered everything. I think this is a very nice company, and hope that you
Yeah.
pick me."
And what questions ideally could you ask? Let's just think of. All right,
Let's role play.
Yeah, let's do a role play. We've already done the car
butterfly.
wash. We've already done the car wash. Let's think of something different. Let's do restaurant manager.
The workload, weekly. You can ask for your weekly workload and your responsibilities.
Yeah.
And
You could ask about your career path,
Yeah.
Like how you can grow if you can.
any possible promotions and
In a dance studio, it's very simple. You go in and they'll say, "We need." They'll ask, "What evenings can you teach?" I'm available on Tuesday and Thursday. And they'll say, "Oh, okay. We need someone to teach from 4 to 8. Can you do it?" "Yeah, I'll take that job." So I'm going to teach there on Thursdays, and then I go to another studio and they'll say, "When are you available?" And this is when I'm available. So you know your hours, your work, and then what's nice about being a ballet teacher, at the end, the director says, "Well, what is your fee?" Because each teacher has her own fee. So then I tell them how much I charge. And they could possibly say, "Oh, okay, that's fine." Or, "Oh, that's a little high," or, is it negotiable? And sometimes before the Great Recession of 2008, no, my fee was not negotiable. And I would just walk out. "Okay, well, maybe some other time." And I'd walk out. I would get my pay.
And what was the contract? Was it self-employed or was it?
Oh, yeah. In what we call it, what is that? Independent contractor.
Yeah, independent. Because in England we have a term called 0 hours contracts. And they're quite controversial because some people don't like them because they don't provide benefits that being a normal employee would provide.
like a social security or
Yeah, exactly. But they do provide a lot of flexibility. So let's say if you are a delivery driver, it means that you can work as many or as few hours as you like, but you're self-employed and you don't get sick benefits or anything like that.
Yeah, what's the word again?
A 0 hours contract. Yeah, I think maybe it's an English term. I don't know if it's an American term as well. But
freelance, you can also use
Freelance.
contractor. You can say.
yeah,
But you still need to pay taxes, right?
of course you have to pay
Of course.
taxes. Yeah, at least the last time I was in England, it was something like £12,500. If you earn above that threshold, then you have to pay taxes. Yeah. Whereas what is it in Russia? The tax threshold. Would you pay tax on every income source?
Yeah, but I'm bad with numbers.
I think in the States, the minimum was 500. If you had a part-time job that actually you only made 600 that whole year on that particular job, you wouldn't have to.
Well, in
claim.
Russia, it's the employer's thing
Responsibility.
to do.
Yeah.
Well, also in America, it depends on the state as well, of course.
Yes.
So Nevada, where I worked, they had a 0 income tax, which was amazing. But of course, you still have to pay federal income tax as well. America's really complicated for taxes.
Yeah.
That's a whole other subject anyway. So we spoke about questions we can ask.
The restaurant manager we were talking
Yeah.
about. So what would you ask as a restaurant manager position?
To seem eager, maybe I'd ask questions about the brand itself, perhaps.
And
Maybe that would-
your customer portfolio, maybe the profiles.
Yeah, the typical customer. Yeah,
Customer.
what is your typical customer like? Do I need to know their names?
Or they are high profile or regulars or whatever.
Yeah, that could definitely show interest in a way that's not detrimental to your application.
some innovations they're going to to introduce or
So what are some red flags to look out for with employers?
Yeah, I think hours. Because I'm big on choosing my own time and my own hours. And so a red flag is if they don't allow you to see the contract after you've gone through a lot of part of the process.
Yeah.
That's a red flag.
Yeah. What else?
Anything out of contract might be the red flag. So if it's written on the contract, all right, both parties should follow that as strictly as possible.
But you only get to know it after you have signed the contract. During the job interview, it's hard to say. I mean, a red flag could be that the person is just not likable. And maybe all people who you have seen look miserable and unhappy.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, maybe this is not the company I want to work for.
Yeah.
Well, before you sign the
Or more
contract,
demanding. Yeah.
you're going to agree on the hours and the pay. And then if there's something in the contract that shows that you can be there could be other duties placed upon you and you didn't know about that, then it's almost too late. So everything should be in the contract.
Yeah.
You should be able to see what that contract is, what you're entering.
Yeah, what you're getting yourself
yeah.
into, yeah. What else? Obviously, if the boss smells bad.
So we're speaking about in the job interview or after.
Good question. I would say in the job interview.
Yeah, because it's different.
Because that's more out.
You are not supposed to read the contract in the job
the job
interview
interview.
because they haven't decided yet if they're going to.
Or you can
No, but
ask
we're
for
talking
a
about, like,
draft. You can ask for a draft for the job.
Or at the end of the process, because sometimes there is a process, and near the end of this end phase, you should be able to view what's on the contract.
Yeah, I agree. So what would you say if the employer said, oh, we are like family. We work hard, we play hard.
hate
Right, give me
that.
some share from your family business let's spend it together.
That's a red
Work
flag.
hard, play hard. What does that mean to you?
Sorry?
Work hard, play hard.
And party hard after that. Yeah. All right. Hard work pays off, so you can do whatever you want after you put everything 100% that you need to.
Yeah.
It doesn't describe me. Work hard, play hard. Yeah, it doesn't describe me at all.
Do you want to get drunk with colleagues?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Probably
doesn't
not a
describe
good
me.
idea. Maybe not a good idea.
It happened.
Well, it depends.
Oh yeah, it's happened to me
several
too.
times.
Depends.
Several times.
I mean, it can be an okay thing.
Yeah, as long as you know, as long as you have nothing to hide. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm open without alcohol. Imagine the alcohol. I would tell everything.
All right. Well, okay. So we talked about interviews itself. Yeah. So let's talk about quitting jobs. So the opposite. So interview. Have you ever had an exit interview? Maybe you've had exit interviews.
It wasn't a formal one. It was again when I decided, all right, guys, I can't do it anymore. I'm just quitting the corporate world, and I need to just do something else that I feel myself happy, like in personally, like spiritually, not economically.
Yeah.
And they invited me again in another dinner. So and then they asked me like.
They love giving you dinners at this company.
So that was kind of, So, all right, let's have a dinner together and let's chat. So we can drink, and after that, we can just enjoy ourselves.
But that means that they valued you. They didn't want you to leave.
Yeah, that was the thing. So, right, they didn't want me to leave. All right, I was a kind of a functioning manager that they want me to do whatever I was doing, but I was so kind of fed up. With my life, like
Well,
5
did
years.
they allow you to give them feedback in this exit interview? Because that would be helpful.
Yeah, I said a couple of things that they didn't like that much, but it wasn't like I was polite.
I
was
think we should
polite.
have like an air of grievances, you know, like you
Yeah,
say everything.
I said, all right, that wouldn't be. I said, all right, if we didn't do this thing, I wouldn't decide to do that in this way, in a way. So I gave them a couple of clues what they should do for the next manager that they're going to hire.
Well, it's tricky because if you rely on a previous employer for a reference, then
Yeah,
that
that's
could
the
be.
thing. Yeah, true.
could
But
come
you're
back to
changing
bite me,
careers
but,
anyway,
yeah.
so you didn't really need there.
But I already decided that I was not going to work in a corporate life, so I was kind of relaxed. All right, so I'm gonna be a teacher. I'm gonna just tour around the world or whatever. So I was kind of relaxed. Okay, I can say anything I want. So that was. But I wasn't rude. So I was. Kind of
it's always
polite.
good to be professional.
The rule
professional.
is to be professional. There's no need, to otherwise.
And at the end of it, we just shook hands and they said, all right, so good luck for the rest. And I said, all right, just good luck. And bye-bye. That's it.
Before coming here to the Big Apple school, I found a job for 3 months with this guy. I really liked him. He was a cool guy. He gave me a job as a business development manager. But to be honest with you, actually, let me give you some more background story. I was working in a hotel. COVID came.
When you were back in Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas. And then I found a job with this guy who was setting up a he's a financial advisor. But he was a really fun guy, a cool guy. And I worked with him for 3 months. But then I thought, I was thinking well before joining him, I want to go to Russia. I want to, I want to teach English and improve my Russian. And I didn't hear back from a few employers because in Russia, they had the COVID situation. And
Just kind of lockdown.
yeah. But then I heard back from the Big Apple school. And I thought, do you know what? I'd much rather be an English teacher than continue in this job. But I found it so hard to to quit this job because I liked this guy so much, and he like gave me loads of energy, and I just felt so bad, and I had to like give him my notice.
So
My
you
letter
cry?
of resignation. No, I didn't cry. But actually, it was just like I liked this guy. And I was like, oh,
I didn't
God.
cry, he did.
Yeah, he did. And like
he lost it.
yeah. But I felt bad because he put time and resources into me, and I just felt terrible.
Did he try to make you feel guilty though? Like, look, all that I invested
No,
in
he
you.
didn't.
That's-
No,
yeah,
he
he's a good
didn't.
guy.
He was a good guy.
Yeah.
That's what made it even.
Yeah.
That's what made it sting.
But some bosses do like something like that.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
it was lots of
He was like-
investment and
Yeah.
everything. So
Yeah.
we did it for you. So
Yeah.
kind
But
of-
the thing was is that before I joined him, I wanted to become an English teacher, but I needed to find a job. to carry me over, and I just felt bad.
yeah, I felt the same thing, but I wasn't like that. All right, oh my God, what I'm going to do. So I already finished that episode of my life on my mind. So I already decided after like
It's time to move on.
7 and total 8 years in corporate life. So all right, that's enough is enough.
Yeah.
But that was kind of I felt like that.
Yeah.
But kind of bitterness.
So Well, what was the notice period in your job? Was it 2 weeks?
15 days, yeah.
15 days, yes,
yeah.
basically
It's a
2
2
weeks.
weeks,
Yeah. Is that like Turkish law, or is that just a company by company thing?
Most of the companies are looking that period before an employee just quit the job, like maximum 1.5 or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, but some companies ask for a month prior to your just departure.
In the ballet world, they'll ask you at the end of spring, what are your plans for next fall? Are you going to continue? And that's usually when you say, yeah, I'm going to move on, or no, I want to come back.
Like at the end of the season, in LA.
Yeah. So like they really start making their schedules in March and April for August, September. They want to know if you can stay.
Okay, no.
I guess it's the same about schools. If the school doesn't work in the summer, then they might ask you.
At the end of June or May.
Before you go on vacation.
You want to renew your contract, Well, it's different in all countries, isn't it? Because you worked in Vietnam for a while. What was the contract like there? Was it like each year you have to renew
Each
it,
year,
or was
I
it?
had to resign it.
Yeah.
But some things were kind of negotiable, some things weren't. So, okay, there was a certain raise on your bonuses and your extra benefits, but your base salary remained the same.
Yeah.
But you had your kind of an extra hours pay, an increased pay or whatever. So I had to sign every year. Like I signed 5 contracts with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never had to re-sign. Well, sometimes, but only a few times I've had to re-sign. When I've worked in 2 hotels. The first hotel was just sign the contract and it's valid until you hand it in.
termination.
Yeah, exactly. happy you said the word termination. So what are the different words we can say to quit your job? Well, sorry, to terminate a contract, but to quit your job.
Oh, just resign.
Resign.
Yeah,
being fired.
please accept my resignation is a normal thing to say.
Is accept my resignation.
Like if you're writing out your resignation, please accept this resignation.
And what about to fire? What are the synonyms we can use to fire an employee?
I have to let you go.
To let,
you go.
Yeah.
phrasal verb, to let someone go.
Being fired.
You said to terminate. You can
Terminate.
terminate an employee.
is a strong word. Yeah.
terminate.
Yeah.
It's very
not a nice
official
word.
language.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I would not want to be terminated. Like an
Expiry,
amputation
you
or
can
something.
say also expiry of your contract.
Yeah, and
If you don't resign it, it expires.
Oh,
So,
yeah, then that's nice, and that's up to you. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another formal term would be to dismiss an employee.
Oh, yeah. And dismiss sounds like you misbehaved. That's what that sounds to me.
You're dismissed.
Yes, you're dismissed because of your bad behavior.
Yes, but it's quite nice because terminate is very Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes, yes, yes.
You're being terminated. So just
Exactly.
get out of my
Yeah.
company.
And some more slang ways of saying to be fired would be
Sack.
to get
Sacked.
sacked. Exactly.
Oh.
To sack someone or to be sacked if you're the employee. Yeah. I've heard to give someone or to give an employee the boot.
Uh-huh.
You can say that as well.
Right.
I mean, maybe it's a bit old. I don't know.
Yeah, it's old, but yeah,
Yeah, to give
I
someone
got
the
the
boot.
boot.
Yeah.
I got kicked out.
Kicked out.
Yeah, so quit, resign. And then, of course, we have, well, for instance, in the COVID pandemic, you might have been a good employee. The company, what does the company do to you then?
Oh, yeah. So like downsizing means that we have to let some people go.
Yeah, to let someone go or to lay off.
Lay off, right.
Yeah, to let someone go.
That's a nice...
Or
Yeah.
suspend your contract.
Yeah,
but
suspend your
is-
contract.
It's still not very nice. You would not want to be suspended.
Yeah. Well, suspended is more, well, I guess it is kind of, can you be laid off and be suspended?
I don't know. Laid off just sounds so nice.
Laid off means that like they terminated your
like
contract.
they can't help it. We have to lay off some, and you get the what's kind of like some the cut.
Yeah.
Get your throat cut.
So when I was working in Vegas and they laid off the employees due to the COVID pandemic, it was really confusing because I started working for this other guy and I thought, oh, they laid you off, that's done. But then I got a phone call like a few months later saying, hey, come back to work.
So
And then I said, oh, I'm so sorry, I've found a new employer. I thought
It's
it was a
done.
done deal. And he said, no, you have to come back and you have to formally terminate your contract. But I thought if you were laid off, it would be naturally terminated in and of
But
itself.
you had to sign a couple of papers and everything. And
Yeah, it wasn't too difficult because it was a big company. And the boss was a nice guy too. But it was, I thought it was kind of strange because they sent all these letters out to people saying, unfortunately, you have been laid off and here's your...
And we expect you to sit there and twiddle your thumbs and wait for us to call you back.
Yeah. What I didn't like was it was an on-call arrangement. On-call meaning that you can be called at any time of day or night. And that's just, no. Can't do that. Yeah, I had to give back my parking pass. Well, fair enough, because
resort area for
so I had to give that back, and they wanted me to give back my company badge as well.
Wow, you had a lot of benefits at that job.
It was actually quite a cool place to work. It was a cool place. I really liked it. It was Caesars Entertainment. Great place to work, actually, and they have good benefits, and you can get cheap hotel rooms and the different resorts. But to be honest, I much prefer being an English teacher. So yeah. All right, guys. Well, let us know if you've quit a job before, and let us know if you have questions about CVs, or if you want to have a CV talk. If you want to come to us, and we can have a lesson with you, and we can look at your CVs and provide all sorts of corrections to it. And also, guys, check out our stickers if you follow us on Telegram. So we have some funny, ridiculous stickers of us teachers. Definitely recommend you download that sticker pack. And also, we have published quite a few videos here at the Big Apple School of me and of other teachers. So definitely check those out. And also check out our website, which is www.bigappleschool.com, where you can read articles, listen to more podcasts, and find out more information about the courses we offer here. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll
see you next time.
Bye for now, guys. See you.